The story begins in a room full of boys. Some are older, men really. One of the men moves through them with an electric clipper, cutting hair. The camera finds a detail quietly, almost without announcement. A tattoo on the back of one boy's foot, just below the heel. 3 small dots. We don't yet know what that means, but we'll come back to it. Now to a notary's office. A lawyer named Jean LaBelle sits across from 2 young adults, twins, Jean and Simon Marwan. He's holding a sealed envelope retrieved from their mother Nawal's file. Before he opens it, he tells them something. He had advised Nawal against writing what she wrote. She pleaded with him until he agreed. Apparently, he had no choice. Nawal's will is straightforward in terms of property, her assets and belongings divided equally between the twins. But the burial instructions are something else entirely. She wants to be buried naked, without a coffin, without prayers, face down in the earth, with no tombstone and no epitaph. She failed to keep a promise while she was alive, the will says. Those who break their promises don't deserve a proper burial. LaBelle keeps reading. There are 2 envelopes. One is for Jean. It contains a letter for her father. One is for Simon. It contains a letter for their brother. Their names are written on each. Nawal's promise will only be considered kept when both letters reach their intended recipients. Only then will she be given a proper grave marker. Simon has heard enough. He stands to leave. Jean stops him, pointing out the obvious. They've always been told their father died in the war, and they have no brother. Why would their mother leave them instructions like this? LaBelle says he's as surprised as they are. Simon, barely contained, demands to know why the man is making things up. LaBelle reminds him, quietly, that a notary cannot fabricate a client's will. He hands Jean one more thing before they leave, a passport and a crucifix tucked inside an envelope. He tells them to sleep on it. Outside, Simon tells Jean he'll find a way around the conditions. He'll speak to LaBelle, handle the burial properly, and look after her. He notices that she seems weighed down and assumes it's guilt about not being there when their mother had her accident. Jean says it isn't guilt. Then she asks him something. Does he realize what LaBelle just read to them? Simon says he's at peace with it and walks away. But before we get on with it, like the video, smash that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get more stories like this. Jean is a mathematics teaching assistant. Back in class, she's distracted during a lecture, though she manages to take over seamlessly when her professor steps aside. Afterward, in his office, her professor Neve sits with her and works through the situation like an equation. He lays it out plainly. There are unknowns. She has to account for them. He tells her she has the instincts of a real mathematician, and that if she doesn't pursue this, she'll never be at peace. He pulls out an old contact book and gives her a name, Saeed Haidar, a professor at the university in Daresh. Trustworthy. Start there. So Jean goes through her mother's things. Clothing. Photographs. She finds one image that holds her attention. A young Nawal standing in front of a wall with an Arabic inscription behind her. Her mind goes back. She's at a pool, swimming, and she sees Nawal sitting at the edge of the water, staring at nothing. She asks what's wrong. Nawal doesn't answer. Further back still, Nawal is young, running across rocky terrain. She reaches a man, Wahab, and they embrace, moving together with urgency. They meet another man on the path. He whistles and others appear. Wahab steps in front of Nawal as the man comes closer. It's her brother Nicholas. He calls Wahab the son of a refugee and tells him to go back where he came from. They were trying to elope. Another brother appears and tells her to go home. Nicholas draws a gun and shoots Wahab. As Nawal drops to her knees, Nicholas raises the gun toward her too. The second brother takes it from him. The older brother turns the gun on Nawal and tells her she's stained the family name. He's about to fire when a woman's voice cuts through the air from a distance, cursing both brothers for what they're about to do. At home, Nawal tells her sister she's pregnant. Her grandmother erupts, screaming, but eventually the screaming gives way to something else. She holds Nawal. Outside, Nicholas and the older brother stand guard while Nawal's cries can be heard from inside. When it's over, the grandmother comes to her with a decision. Nawal will go to the city with her uncle. There is nothing left for her in the village. But before she goes, Her grandmother makes her promise one thing: she'll go to school. Nawal makes the promise with tears on her face. She gives birth to a boy. Her grandmother gives the baby a small tattoo, 3 dots on the back of his foot, and then the child is taken to an orphanage. Nawal promises she will find him one day. Back in the present, Jean lands in Daresh and goes straight to the university to find Saeed. He can't help her. She goes to the administration office and asks about her mother. The receptionist wasn't even born when Nawal was enrolled and has no way to assist. But she directs Jean to someone who can look at the photograph, and that person identifies the location in the picture: Kefrayet, a prison in the south. Meanwhile, the past continues to unfold alongside the present. In her university years, Nawal is working at the campus newspaper, writing in support of Muslims despite being Christian herself. A fellow journalist asks about it. Before she can answer properly, they hear a noise from outside. Nationalists have closed the campus. She tells her uncle immediately. That night, gunfire echoes in the distance. Her uncle tells the family they'll go to the mountains until the city calms down. Nawal spends that night packing and setting out to somewhere: 2 orphanages in the city. She tells her cousin she's not leaving without finding her son. The cousin reminds her of the promise to her grandmother. Nawal tells her the schools are closed, so the promise doesn't count. They hold each other, and the next morning, Nawal walks alone through empty streets. She boards a bus heading south, passes through a military checkpoint on her passport, and makes it to the first orphanage, only to be told the children were transferred to a different location 3 years ago. She boards another bus. She's disguised herself to blend in with Muslim passengers, but the bus is stopped by Christian militia. They interrogate the driver and end up assaulting the passengers. Just when they were about to set the bus ablaze, they discover Nawal is Christian and release her. The bus burns behind her as she walks away. Back in the present, Jean is also on a bus heading south toward her mother's abandoned childhood home. She calls Simon. She tells him she wishes he were there. She meets a group of women from the village. At first, they're welcoming. Then they realize who she's asking about. Something shifts. The women switch to Arabic, which Jean doesn't understand. She catches enough to know the tone. Nawal brought shame to the Marwan family. When Jean asks about Wahab, they say they don't know the name. They tell her she's not welcome, that she should go home. In the past, an explosion leaves Nawal with a head wound. The orphanage she was searching for has been destroyed. The city is devastated. Nawal approaches a masked fighter and tells him she's looking for her son. Not long after, she's recruited into the militia. She's given a specific task: kill a prominent militia leader. To get close to him, she takes a position as his son's French teacher, working inside the compound itself. For a time it works. Then the order comes. She arrives at the checkpoint as usual, passes through, prepares for the lesson. When she leaves, she's carrying a brown bag. She removes her heels so she won't make a sound and walks toward where the leader is meeting with guests. She shoots him. She gets arrested and thrown into prison. Her hair is cut and tortured. She is kept in a small cell. In the present, Jean is taken to the same prison, now empty. A tour guide walks her through its history. Afterward, she's directed to a former prison guard, now working as a janitor at a school. She shows him Nawal's photograph. He recognizes her immediately, the singing prisoner, the one who killed the militia leader. She was there for 15 years, he says. They tried everything to break her for the 13 years he was there. She never broke. She kept singing. It frustrated everyone. She was the only one still standing. So they sent in someone specific, a man named Abu Tariq, a torture specialist. He raped her repeatedly, and eventually she stopped singing. The janitor took that as proof she had finally broken. Jean stops him there. She tells him her mother didn't stop singing because she broke. She stopped singing because she needed to save her strength for her babies. The guard says they waited for Nawal to give birth before releasing her. Jean fights to hold herself together. She calls Simon and tells him everything, what happened to Nawal, all of it, and begs him to come to Daresh. The prison scenes from Nawal's past fill in the rest. A woman, handcuffed and hooded, is taken to a locked cell. Nawal listens from her own cell as the woman screams. She begins to sing. The screaming gets louder. Nawal's voice goes higher. Then it's her turn, cuffed, hooded, led to the same cell. Abu Tariq circles her without speaking, studying her. Then he rapes her. Before he leaves, he tells her to sing. Alone in her cell later, Nawal notices her belly. She tries to forcefully terminate the pregnancy to end herself. The guards intervene, restraining her. She's taken to a delivery room. The nurse helps her, then tells her, stunned, that there's another baby coming. Twins. After the birth, the nurse takes the 2 infants out of the prison. In the present, Simon has now come to Daresh. Labelle is with him. They've connected with Madadi, a local lawyer assisting with the search. Jean gives Simon the address of the nurse who helped their mother in prison. Simon resists. Jean tells him if he won't do it for their mother, do it for their brother. He follows her out of the room. The 4 of them find a nurse. She's older now, a patient at a hospital. When they introduce themselves and mention Nawal, she begins to cry. She says she knows who they are. She's the one who took them out of the prison. And when Nawal was released, she gave them back to her. The twins are silent. They understood they were looking for a brother. They didn't understand that they themselves were born in that prison. Separately, in the past, for children run through rubble carrying plastic bags. The oldest acts as lookout, signaling the others forward. They move through the ruins in relay. Then one of the children is shot. The shooter is sitting on a balcony above them. On the back of his foot, 3 dots. Madadi reports what he's found. He traced Nihad of May, Nawal's son, to an orphanage in Kefarayat when the war broke out. The orphanage was destroyed. Records don't go beyond that point, but he knows a warlord in Darisa who might have information about where Nihad ended up. Simon and Labelle go to meet the warlord. The man is guarded, claims he knows nothing about either Nihad or Nawal, and send them away. That night, 2 men knock on Simon's hotel room door. They say it concerns his inquiries, and he needs to come with them. Simon calls Madadi, who tells him go. He'll follow. Simon is blindfolded and taken to a room where he's questioned about why he wants to find Nihad. He explains. The blindfold comes off. The man sitting across from him is the real warlord. He tells Simon that Nihad was an exceptional soldier, but he had one persistent need to find his mother. After some years, Nihad went to Daresh during the war. He fought. He killed. He was captured. He was taken to the Kefarayat prison, where he adopted a new name. Abu Tariq. Simon finds Jean back at the hotel. He's sitting in the room, not moving. When she asks what's wrong, he tells her. Their brother is their father. Jean goes still. A memory surfaces from the pool. Nawal sitting at the water's edge, staring. And there, on the foot of a man walking past, 3 dots. Nawal gets up and follows. The man turns when he senses her there. He asks if she can help him. Nawal says nothing. She walks past him and sits back down. She had already known. She had seen him at that pool. That was when she stopped speaking, when she went silent, when the long stillness that no one around her understood had begun. The warlord had told Simon one more thing. Nihad may have left the militia. He now lives in Canada under a different name, Nihad Armani. The twins find him. They hand over the 2 letters. He reads them, both of them. And as he reads, he understands what he is to them and what he was to her. Back at Labelle's office, Jean gives him one more letter, the one Nawal left for the twins themselves. It is the last thing she wrote for them. Jean and Simon read it together. By the end, both of them are crying. The final image is of a headstone. Nawal's name, newly inscribed. Standing in front of it is Nihad, her son, her children's father, the man she spent 15 years looking for, who spent years looking for her, who found her and didn't know it, and whom she recognized at a pool and chose to reach in silence, through letters rather than words. The promise is finally kept. Why do you think Nawal never mentioned this by words, but through letters, especially after her death? Let us know in the comment section. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.